Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can download our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1, followed by the word Spot Media. The police have confirmed that 2 teenage girls who were victims of human trafficking were among more than 40 persons detained during yesterday's major operation on Port Henderson Road, known as Back Road, in Portmore, St. Catherine. Investigators are trying to ascertain whether the girls, who are both 15 years old, were engaged in prostitution. They have been placed in state care. One of the teenagers was reported missing in St. Anne 3 months ago. Head of the St. Catherine South Police, Superintendent Leighton Gray, told our news center that a man has been taken into custody on suspicion of engaging in human trafficking.
Based on our intelligence, we had actually have remained in custody 4 male, one of who is said to be the perpetrator who solicit or take these young girls into this space. So we are conducting some investigation around him, and we believe that he can assist us in our investigation as it relates to human trafficking.
He says the 2 girls are cooperating with investigators. They reportedly told the police they met the man via social media.
What we gather, they were taken there, said they would give them holiday jobs. However, when we went there, they were there and we found them on the premises. However, we could not definitively say that they were soliciting in that type of activity.
In the meantime, the police say they will be keeping a close eye on Back Road.
And not only for the prostitution, however, also for persons who continue to traverse this space, to include criminal elements. From all indication, our intelligence is suggesting that, especially during the night, especially on weekends, that is where a lot of the criminal elements that we may be looking for would go and recreate themselves.
Most of the individuals who were picked up during yesterday's early morning operation were processed and released. The number of illegal firearms seized in Jamaica since the start of the year has increased to 500. The weapons were seized under the Get the Guns campaign. Minister of National Security Robert Montague, who made the disclosure at the Jamaica 55 Diaspora Conference at the Jamaica Conference Center on Monday, said the figure represents a 32% increase over the corresponding period last year. He said the Get the Guns campaign, which got underway in 2015, continues to reap results in the number of illegal guns seized by the security forces. A police officer is dead following a motor vehicle collision on the Lilliput Main Road in St. James yesterday. The victim is identified as 26-year-old Junior Morrison, a police officer of Mount Pleasant in St. Andrew. Reports are that about 7:15 p.m., Morrison was driving his Toyota Starlet motorcar along the Lilliput Main Road heading towards Montego Bay. On reaching a section of the roadway, a BMW motorcar traveling in the opposite direction allegedly made a right turn into the path of the Starlet, causing a collision. Mr. Morrison was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Investigations continue. The Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, JCC, is urging the government to put the necessary resources in place to expedite the pace at which cases are dealt with in the court system as a means of seriously tackling crime. JCC's president, Larry Watson, said the new crime-fighting legislation, the Zones of Special Operations, will not be a silver bullet to the crime problem. Speaking at the JCC's Board of Directors meeting in St. Andrew on Tuesday, Mr. Watson said the other measures will have to be put in place to arrest the crime problem.
One of the recurring things we hear in almost every dialogue with the business community and indeed the leadership of the police force is the long time that it takes for cases to go to court after the initial release and laying of charges that has occurred. Should we not be augmenting the number of court size of the office of the DPP and staff in the courts appropriately so that it can really deal with this crime issue?
Meanwhile, Mr. Watson said the JCC is satisfied that the government will be considering the removal of Clause 15 of the Integrity Commission bill, which was passed in the Senate last week.
Whereas we are supportive of the efforts to ensure that one objective of the early establishment of a single corruption agency, we want to make sure it is not undermined by a diminishing of its scope through the inclusion of clauses that will remove from public scrutiny any contracts that are determined by Cabinet to deserve being kept confidential. To do so outside of procurement for the security forces would be against the principles of transparency.
The St. James Municipal Corporation says it's making progress moving illegal vendors off the streets of the city. With the help of the police, the corporation started a $20 million project to build sheds at the Charles Gordon Market to relocate persons who sell on the streets. Mayor of Montego Bay, Homer Davis, says, among other things, vendors on the streets slow down police operations.
Well, we are concerned about public space. And public space means the St. James Street, the Barney Street, wherever the public have free access to. We think that the police should have free access to those places.
Mr. Davis says the corporation met with vendors to discuss relocation plans. Since then, he says, most vendors have been cooperating.
As a matter of fact, I mean, for example, St. James Street. If you go down there now, I'm sure you won't see any vending taking place, because we have the municipal police there doing the enforcement.
The export levy on conch for the 2017 season will remain the same. Agriculture and Fisheries Minister Carl Samuda made the disclosure in Parliament yesterday.
All proceeds of the levy are, by law, allocated to the Fisheries Management and Development Fund, which is used to facilitate the sustainable management and development of the fisheries sector pursuant to Section 9 of the Act. The levy for the 2016 conch season was set at 50 cents in the currency of the United States of America per pound of conch. It is therefore recommended that the levy remain as such for the 2017 conch season.
In responding to queries from the opposition, Mr. Samuda said steps are being taken to maintain fish sanctuaries and minimize illegal fishing. There are also plans to clean up the quays and improve living conditions.
People living out there, some of them under subhuman conditions. And it's a very, very costly exercise to establish the amenities that they really need. We don't have the money. So we have appealed to the World Bank, who have promised to put together a program to assist us financially so that we can deal with it in an effective way.
With the government indicating that it may divest its shares in the Jamaica Public Service via the stock market, the parliamentary opposition is demanding answers. Queries were made by opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips at yesterday's sitting of the House of Representatives.
Can we get the range of companies? Can we get a list that are intended for divestment? Can we get a clear indication of what is intended for the stock market? And as best as possible, we urge again that there be wide, broad-based participation in ownership where that is feasible.
A response has come from the government to growing calls for transportation to be provided for health workers assigned to facilities in crime-plagued areas. The Nurses Association of Jamaica, NAJ, on Monday asked the government to urgently address the matter in the wake of the worsening crime problem in some of the areas where health facilities are located. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the matter is still under consideration.
The issue was brought to my attention in a meeting recently, very recently, and in fact the Prime Minister was at that meeting. It was a courtesy call at Jamaica at OPM, and a commitment was made that the matter would be looked into. So the President of the NAJ, very much NAJ knows that a commitment was made, and frankly we just announced that we're going to do a security audit because we are concerned about the general security issues. So I'm a little surprised that it is now being played out on the stage when a discussion took place beforehand. But so be it. That's how things are, and it will be included in the examination that I announced earlier.
The services of the island's nurses was recently honored at the Lascaux Nurses Association of Jamaica Nurse of the Year Award ceremony. Nurse Natalie Hilton Levy, who was the third runner-up in the 2016-2017 Nurse of the Year program, was crowned Nurse of the Year. Hilton Levy is a critical care nurse at the Cornwall Regional Hospital. This year's runner-up was a male, Wayne Ferron of the Mandeville Regional Hospital, while Michelle Callaghan Graham of the Spanish Town Hospital was in third place. Managing Director of Lascaux Distributors, Peter Mark Chin, commended the passion and drive of Jamaica's nurses as he addressed the luncheon.
Many challenges, the pressure of limited resources.
The time now for a look at what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In the next edition of the Health Report, we look at how modern technology has evolved over the years.
The arm actually is a design that we've been now going through about 3 or 4 designs. This is about our 3rd generation. And the actual making of this arm took us about 3 days to do the printing, to get all of the parts put together. Now that we know how to do it, the actual placing of the electronics and putting that together would probably take several hours. But to get it to this point, because it was a prototype, took us several months. So this was about 3 or 4 months, extremely hard work on the part of our team.
That's the Health Report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. Here are some ways you can care for your prosthetic. Remove the prosthesis before going to bed. Clean and put a small amount of lotion on the stump and massage the skin. Place a bandage on the stump to decrease swelling when you are not wearing the prosthesis. Regular inspect the skin of the stump to look for sores or wounds.
We go on to sports. Jamaica's Reggae Boys are full of confidence heading into their 2nd consecutive CONCACAF Gold Cup final, which will be contested this evening.
It's only fitting that the boys from the land of reggae should pull off a one-love win over the mighty Mexicans to make it to the final of CONCACAF's premier competition for the 2nd tournament running. But while defender Kemar Lawrence's name will appear on the score sheet beside the all-important winner for the Jamaicans, the 10 other outfield players should currently be kneeling at the feet of goalkeeper Andre Blake. The 26-year-old looked every bit the 2016 MLS Goalkeeper of the Year at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena on Sunday and must now be a legitimate contender for Player of the Tournament. Despite it being a quiet first half for the boys, they showed more attacking intent in their 2nd match against the CONCACAF Kingpins than the first, with their clearest chance being a Jermaine Taylor rocket of a free kick. 0-0 it ended heading into the break, however. Substitute Ricardo Morris would have felt he could have done better with this shot early in the 2nd half, but it was this header from Damian Lowe which looked destined for the back of the net, but Mexican goalkeeper Jose Corona was equal to the task. But 10 minutes later, Corona could only play the role of a spectator, as a perfectly placed free kick from Lawrence's left boot sent the Jamaicans into a frenzy and into Wednesday's final against the United States.
I was practicing all weekend, and right timing, my teammates vote me into tuck it, and perfect kick. Can't complain.
Yeah, it was a great game. Mexico is a very good team. We knew we had to come out and be very organized, very patient defensively, and we did just that. And I just want to say the guys did a great job. You know, I'm there to do whatever I can to keep my team in the game. So I always tell myself, once we stop teams from scoring, we're always close to winning the game. So it was great tonight to move on to the finals again.
The Jamaicans could take motivation from their 2-1 win over USA at the 2015 Gold Cup, despite this being a different unit.
Yeah, we're definitely going in to do whatever we have to do to win the game. US is a very good team, so you know we just got to go in, stick together, be organized defensively again, and hopefully we can win this game.
Wednesday's final will be played at 8:30 p.m. at the Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California.
Good luck, Reggae Boys. And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.